Hi, everyone, and welcome to our second program on day two of International Careers Week. We are so excited to have Jeremie Waller here with us. He is an electrical engineer with over 22 years of experience in electrical hardware design, system architecture design, research, and new product development from concept to the customer, as well as leading and advertising electrical engineering teams for three different international companies in that time frame. Jeremie is currently the Senior Electrical Engineer for Montana Instruments and also serves as the Senior Electrical Advisor for Hyundai's New Horizons studio. Thank you for joining us today, Jeremie.
All right. Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
I will let you just get started on talking about what inspired you to pursue a career in electrical engineering and how did you get started in this field?
Uh, it- yeah, everything's got a long story, but I'll try to keep it short. I mean, um, my story is probably different than others, I guess. I'm a Minnesota boy, so I can give you a little background and let you know where I come from. And I grew up in Minnesota and started off in Duluth, University of Duluth, Minnesota Duluth, and it was a general studies program. So, unlike some other people I maybe have met along the way, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I didn't know anybody that was really involved with engineering, especially not electrical engineering. And so I started off with general studies. And that's how I got started. I guess went in there, took a bunch of variety of classes, and ended up doing a logic design course that was very interesting. And as I looked into it, I decided that I needed to transfer. So I came to Montana um, on a internet search and wanted to get into the Triple ET program. So it's the Electrical and Electronics Engineering Technology program. So more than anything, I guess I'll lay out my cards. I was nervous about living in a cube. Engineers, my mindset of what an engineer does for a living is they just live in a cube and you know maybe just playing computers all day. Well, I do have a cube and everything else. It's not always that way. So when I started off there, in the technology program, in the technicians program, some great professors at Montana State University had recognized that my math scores and whatnot were good enough to, and I was doing well in academics, which I'd recommend everybody listening and do, and said, you should probably look into engineering. So it was very good advice. It's um, been a very exciting career, lots of opportunities. And I would say to get involved with your different campuses near you and learn more by just talking to those professors and whatnot that are at at those campuses as often as you can. Go to career fairs or anything that is going to give you a little bit of insight into what these fields and what's available in your area.
Awesome. Could you tell us a little bit about what Montana Instruments and Hyundai's New Horizons studio do?
Yeah. So Montana Instruments is a cryogenics company. So for me, everybody's got to find their reason in life, right? So I enjoy what I'm doing, and they say if you enjoy what you're doing, you never work a day in your life. So um, I will, I'm kind of jumping around, but as far as advice, I've always listened to opportunities that come my way. That advisor at MSU that told me, hey, you should get into electrical engineering. It's a good gig. Also, I've got a very close friend who started Montana Instruments who convinced me that I needed to go over there and do some electrical engineering there. So they do. I jumped over there just a little over a year ago after spending over 20 years at Lumibird, Quantel, Big Sky Laser. They changed their names many times, designing laser systems. And now I'm learning about cryogenics and cryostats and the science of making things really cold. So our application is basically a quantum adjacent type company. It's a company that's there and where we are trying to help researchers and people out there in the world of quantum quantum sensing, quantum communications, quantum computers, help them learn faster, by developing instruments that allow them to get cold, because most things in the quantum world need to be very cold. So that's a little bit about Montana Instruments. Um, it's a pretty exciting field, and it's moving rapidly.
Awesome. Could you, for the people out there that don't know what quantum is, could you briefly describe what quantum is?
Well, quantum, yeah, that'd be a long answer. I don't know if anybody really knows the answer to what exactly is quantum and how does it work. I'm sure there are very bright individuals out there that could give you a great, lengthy answer to what that is. But just I've learned a lot in the last year just being involved with it, and getting to go to places like Massachusetts Institute of Technology's Lincoln Labs. There's all these government labs and other research places out there where you get to learn from these PhDs and master's students and other engineers who are trying to figure it out, actually. So quantum, like this idea that you can have instantaneous communication. Imagine having internet that was so fast you could never bog it down. Communicating with somebody on the moon instantaneously in a terahertz type bandwidths. So an idea of superposition, that two photons can be mutually connected no matter where they are in the world. That's kind of a touch I'm learning myself. So it's one of those things where I would have a difficult time actually answering it in a more scientific way. So
From Carroll College, engineering requires a lot of hard skills to get into the field, but is there a soft skill you think is very important going into this field?
yes, I think good question. I would say problem solving. If you like, the soft skill would be somebody who gets going when it gets tough. When things get hard, you start to have fun. I like to say, hard things are worth doing. And when it gets hard, it's worth doing. If it's easy, maybe it's not. Anybody can do it. But so practice, practice, practice. So whenever something comes up that is pushing your limits, and or pushing you out of your comfort zone, I would want to, just say yes and go for it. And the next time you say yes, it'll be easier. And so as far as soft skills, just problem solving. That's what engineering is. We're basically we're not inventing very often in engineering, while there are still patents and things out there that are taking novel ideas, maybe of taking existing things and then coming up with new uses and ways to do it better. That's what a patent would be. You just basically learn how to solve problems and be persistent in how you go about doing that. Be consistent, be determined. So those are all the soft skills. I'm saying they're more personality traits.
In your experience, what are some exciting and innovative projects that electrical engineers have been involved in lately?
Yeah, that's there. Sky's the limit, right? So electrical engineers do all sorts of things. I think that anybody who might watch this video who's thinking about electrical engineering, if you all went out and decided that's what you want to do in life, we'd probably all end up doing slightly different things. But the projects are everywhere. Telecommunications, power systems design. So you've got, if you go up into the Judith Gap, you'll see, power generation. And then, of course, you have to bring that to somewhere where it can be used. And, I've got a friend that actually was involved with the Sphere down in Las Vegas. So if you've seen pictures of the new Sphere that cost a fortune to build down in Las Vegas, electrical engineers are making that happen. It's phenomenal. If you like music, concerts and designing the delivery of that wonderful music to all the listeners is something electrical engineers and control systems are taking care of. Yeah, so as far as local projects, there's so many to list. You know, Visionarios out there making drones to carry um, different types of sensors and cameras and things to learn about whatever agriculture type questions. Laser systems that I've been designing for the last 20 years are out there characterizing the atmosphere every day with LiDAR, looking for particles in the air, maybe from explosions from volcanoes and things that might be dangerous for air traffic. Um, Military applications go on. So you're gonna have to stop me because I could go on and on and on. You know, cryostats, of course. You know, I'm also involved in Hyundai's New Horizons Studio project, which is a different side of engineering that is just, it's more about dreaming and saying, okay, how can we take a vehicle and turn it into something nobody's ever seen before that can go just about anywhere. That's what we're doing there. So it's a robot it's a robot and a vehicle all at once. Yeah, very fun projects.
From Carroll College again. In regards to your work with Hyundai, can you talk a bit about what next gen vehicles are looking like? Is sustainability a main focus when creating these newer vehicles?
Yeah, and um, what might it look like? Well, that's interesting because working with Hyundai, that has been interesting. There's concept. It's a different type of engineering where they're actually there's engineers out there that are artists and engineers at the same time. So what are they looking like? I mean, right now it's almost a figment of our imagination, but it's essentially a vehicle that can then bring people that maybe has robotic legs that allow it to get to places that may be unsafe to travel or impossible to travel for traditional vehicles. So applications aren't as focused on sustainability in this case as it is would for search and rescue, maybe for mining, for forest fires, you know, going in and having sensors on the vehicle that can locate people who maybe need help in evacuation or first aid, medical care, that kind of thing. You know, go into disaster areas that may be flooded on the coast and there's debris and things all scattered about. You know, you need something that can actually get equipment and people in and out in those situations. So that's what that focus is.
How do advancements in technology such as artificial intelligence and renewable energy impact the work of electrical engineers today?
Yeah, we're still finding out. I think that's a great question because you know AI, artificial intelligence, is kind of rocking our world right now. It's and I say we're still learning because you know it almost immediately right out of the gate. You know, I think it's safe to say is very beneficial for people developing code and software to help build a framework that they can then elaborate on and get something working quicker. But it's also um, you know, we're using it in simple things like making better presentations because you can use prompting. You know, we're learning how to prompt instead of search. So you get to ask a question and then keep asking more or tell it to no, I'd rather that it looked like this. So you can develop processes and documentation a little bit faster. One way that I'm involved with a company called Altium Designer quite a bit. I've been a customer. I don't get paid for their work. It's just fun on the side talking to managers or project managers with Altium Designer. Altium Designer is a CAD tool or computer aided design tool that electrical engineers will use for PCB design. One of my favorite things to do. I'd highly recommend it. It's super fun. And well, we're trying to integrate AI into that. And so I've been helping them and giving them feedback and testing a program called Valley Space. It's an AI tool that's for requirements management. That's something that engineers have to do. You know, you touched on the beginning, you know, concept to customer. That's something that I've always been involved with in Montana. You know, we don't have huge companies. So I've always worked for smaller companies or small branches of much larger companies. Let's put it that way. So when you start off a project and you're trying to develop a new product, you have to start listing the requirements. And then what is this thing going to be? Might come from customers, it might come from management, it might come from our technology roadmap, but that's what it is. So the AI tool is there to help us. You can literally start asking things like, I need to build a machine that can do this and that fast and for less than this amount of money, and it'll spit out a bunch of requirements. It's actually kind of weird. So yeah, again, still learning on the AI front and renewable resources. There's been a lot of focus on renewable in that I would say, more of compliance to environmental requirements, making sure that we don't use materials that have a hard time breaking down in the environment, and or like are hazardous to people or the environment again. So there's a lot of focus on that in electrical engineering.
From Carroll College again, do you have a favorite project you've been a part of? If so, can you tell us what the impact of the project was?
Yes, I have many favorite projects, I guess. That's a difficult one to narrow down. One of my favorite projects that I did at most recently was for Lumibird Quantel. And I can't say what it was for, unfortunately, because it's international traffic and arms regulation. Again, another aspect of electrical engineers that you can think about is you get to, in this case, work for maybe a defense-related application that can help your country in certain ways. So the application I can't speak to, but the reason why I enjoyed it was a very challenging project. I wish I could speak more about the application, but it's challenging in the sense that it drove us to collaborate with people on a level that I haven't had to do before. We needed to design something that was very small, compact, and it wasn't a lot of new development. It was repackaging very small. And so working collaboratively with like 3 other electrical engineers and other mechanical engineers and physicists very closely to develop that project was memorable, and it was very successful. The prototype worked right out of the box and is hopefully in use right now, undergoing testing. But yeah, I think other ones that have been fun, as far as projects. And years ago, we had a laser system that went into an airplane, and flew over Yellowstone Lake. So it's more closer to home type things. Flew over Yellowstone Lake, and they used different type of LiDAR type technologies to see into the water and count the fish, the trout in Yellowstone Lake. And so that was a pretty interesting project to see the results and the images that came back when they're counting those fish. Yeah.
That's really cool. I'm curious. So you make these projects, make these products. Where do you sell them?
Huh. Where do you sell them? Oh yeah, there's a lot of people. So yeah, in the laser world, it was scientific and industrial, a lot of military applications. So to our own defense in military as well as allies, so they would buy them. But also, I would say security for light-induced, laser-induced breakdown spectroscopy. You can characterize what is on, say, a door handle of a car from a mile away, maybe not that far, but yes. Yeah, as far as we sell all over. Every company I've been to, Quantel and Montana Instruments, we sell everywhere. They're global companies. Quantel is actually Lumibird is the umbrella, and so they're located everywhere. So we primarily sell to European and U.S. markets, but Montana Instruments has been selling primarily to the U.S. But also globally, and Hyundai, of course, is everywhere. So, but we don't have a product to sell. and we won't for a while in that case. But I will say, as far as global goes, though, um, all three of these companies I'm talking about they're international companies. And while I'm not working abroad, and I'd even throw Altium in there too, because I spent a lot of time talking to them to help them develop the product better, to help electrical engineers do their job even better and faster, and it works. So like these people are all over the world. It's one of those things where new technology has obviously changed things. I would even say COVID has changed things, because it forced people to learn how to do even video conferences and chats and work from home. And so we're all learned how to basically learn a little differently, or, work together a little differently. I would almost put it at this point, I don't even really care where people are in the world. We can collaborate and design things together. I've got a friend in Serbia. It's Belgrade, actually. I'm in Belgrade, Montana. He's in Belgrade, Serbia. I talk to him regularly from Altium. I used to work closely with a guy from Australia. So you work all over with these people from everywhere. Canada. I used to have a team of engineers at Quantel that worked regularly, with a team up in Canada, team in France. So on the global note, if you work for an international company, you have a lot of opportunities to work with people from all over the world. Montana Instruments is actually from Atlas Copco is a global company, and we're part of their vacuum technology group. So they have a strong presence in Sweden, their headquarters, as well as Germany and England. And it's been super exciting. I'll elaborate on that real quick. Is working with all these different cultures, to me, is really exciting, and I would highly recommend it to anybody listening, because we do things differently depending on where you are. The Americans are slightly different than the French. Nobody's better or worse than the other. I'm just saying it's really fun to see how people do things differently, and how they design products and or work at all these different other places in the world. So.
Thank you. All right, we got a couple more questions from Carroll College here. Have you ever been a part of service-based engineering programs like Engineers Without Borders?
No, I haven't. I don't think I have been a part of anything like that. The only projects I've been involved with there would be, more of educational type stuff, volunteering my time to do things like this, and try to help any new students and or people potentially, thinking about engineering, have a better idea of what it is. As part of Altium's relationship there, I've been involved with keynote panels and such to help other engineers as well. As one of those things that, again, if opportunities come, you should always think about it for a moment and then take it. One gal that actually conned me into doing that was she said, if you once told me, she used my own words against me, because I'd been down there, I'd been in one of her podcasts with her, and she asked me why I do these types of things. And apparently I'd said, if I can at least reach out and help one engineer out there, it's probably worthwhile doing. So, that's where I have been involved with those projects for that reason. Just if there's one student out there that maybe connects with some of the things that I'm saying and comes and joins us in the engineering world, and great, it's all worthwhile.
Another question from Carroll College. What do management roles within the engineering field look like? Do you still get to actively work on projects, or do you mainly oversee them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I bet it's probably very dependent on which company you're working for. But I will say that it depends. At the Quantel, when I worked there, I had a team of engineers that I supervised, and I was actively designing with them. So not only did I have some management role there and coordinating the efforts of the team, I also got to design. And so for me, that was important because I actually really enjoy designing. So I don't know if I'd ever want to leave that behind. But as far as, sky's the limit, I would say I've met a lot of, you could go on and climb the ladder, so to speak, if you so choose. I mean, I've met two electrical engineers. They're both CEOs. I've got one general manager at Montana Instruments that's also an electrical engineer by training. Um, and so I find that you can get into director positions, management positions of maybe engineering groups quite easily. Those are always options.
Can you share a piece of advice or lesson you've learned in your career that you believe would be valuable for students considering a path in electrical engineering?
Yeah, it's I think a path advice. Well, I would say get involved and connect with people as often as possible. And I would say one of the things that I enjoy a lot as in my career and that has been very helpful is just making sure you connect with people. Everybody sees a mountain, they want to be at the top, and realize that to get to the top of a mountain, everybody in Montana is probably familiar with this analogy. It takes a lot of hard work and maybe it's dedication to get up there. So just basically getting involved, going to get a LinkedIn account as you get into college, especially connect with people. I mean, ways to stay up to date with what's going on in the industry. What are people doing? Who's doing it? Just getting connected with people is a good way to get involved. Let's see. More advice. So learn from your own experiences, as well as experiences of others. My kids are probably tired of me saying that to them, but I like to preach that one because it's always best to start off maybe where somebody else has already gone through the pain of and suffering of what experiences can be. So most experiences and things that you learn are learn from maybe failures just as much as they are successes. So um, definitely learn from your own experiences as well as those of others. And I would say be humble, in knowing that you don't know everything. So you have to be open to and always looking for opportunities to learn more. I mean, like I said with the mountain thing, I don't think I'll ever reach the top. I don't even know what that looks like. So don't be so focused on getting to the top and instead enjoy the hike along the way. And goes back to something I said earlier. I guess if you enjoy what you do, you never have to work a day in your life. And in engineering, you can definitely have a lot of fun in this career. It's basically getting to play with very expensive toys on a daily basis in labs and do really fun things.
For students that are interested in staying in Montana, how is the job market for engineers in Montana?
I'd say it's pretty good at this point. It's been expanding quite a bit. Over 20 years ago, didn't seem to be a lot of opportunities for engineers. Some of they always joked that our biggest export was college graduates, but I don't think that's the case anymore. Anybody who wants to stay in Montana has opportunities here. The number of companies that are hiring engineers has grown substantially, and right now the region has been designated a Headwaters Tech Hub, which also will change how things grow in that department as well. Lots of new jobs will be opening up in that side of things. Probably more new companies and startups will be showing up as a result of that, and it's going to be, focused mostly on the quantum world and photonics. But there are a lot of companies. I mean, I can speak even to Bozeman. I'm in Bozeman right now, so as far as companies here, Montana State University has kind of created a seed. They have a good engineering program, and So we've got, Montana Instruments, of course, Quantel Laser, let's see, Elemental Scientific, I'm just rattling off names. You can look them up later. Hyundai's New Horizon Studio, FLIR, Northwestern Energy, if you're in the power side of things, Wavelength Quantum Composers, Linksys, Vision Aerial, Bridger Photonics, they're out there doing methane detection. A lot of interesting stuff. Advanced electronics design. There's so many opportunities now, and I believe there's going to be more coming up. So something to pay attention to. In addition, I would also say there's probably, the engineering program at Montana State University is obviously already excellent. And I enjoyed it as a graduate there quite a bit, but we're also trying to see, and right now actively adding courses to add more like PCB design and practical prototyping and product development classes and coursework there. So that's actually happening right now, and is also something I've been involved with and trying to help with. So I think there's going to be a lot of change here in the next few years.
As technology continues to evolve rapidly, how do electrical engineers stay updated on the latest developments and trends in their field?
Yeah, that's a good one. Continuous education. Don't sit back and be content too long. Things have changed rapidly. I started, pretty much as an electrical engineer in year 2001. That's when I graduated. Okay, showing my age, but I can say that things have changed in an incredible amount since then. In the last 5 years, for example, even PCB design has changed rapidly, from something that was, we would always do printed circuit board design, and it was more of a simple design. I would describe it as pretty simple designs, but advancements in the tools that we get to use, and the availability of webinars, and online education courses that are free and available in a lot of cases, has made it possible for us to design things that I would only dreamed about like 5 to 10 years ago. So how do you stay up to date? You just need to be active. Again, it's go back to LinkedIn. I know it's another social platform, but that's one of the most the easiest ways to connect with people, see what they're up to, see when there's new seminars and webinars coming up, get involved and talk to manufacturers, like component manufacturers and their applications engineers. A lot of times will show up on site and describe to you what their microcontrollers can do, or what kind of sensors do you need, what kind of connectors do you need, and they'll bring them there so you can touch them and hold them and see for yourself and dream up new ideas and uses for those things. But yeah, state webinars, it's constant. In Altium Designer, since that's the electrical CAD program that I use, and a lot of people that I know use it, they have a lot of online coursework as well. They have an entire course. You can look it up for yourself. Everybody can use it free. It's an Altium education course that will actually teach you a lot of things that you probably need to know about printed circuit board. So while there might not be a ton of courses at universities in some cases, in the case of the printed circuit board design, there's a lot of manufacturers, tool developers, and other fellow engineers that are more than happy to help and work together to figure things out together. So it's more about being brave, just going for it and figuring these things out takes some risk too. I will say, as an engineer, it is something that, you can't, at some point you got to stop. You can't just turn your head and just ask the next person, well, how do you do this? Well, eventually you have to figure it out. Somebody out there's got to figure it out. And so engineering, that's where we go back to like people who like to problem solve, or that's something that you're going to do a lot of in the engineering world, that's for sure.
What is a college course you think every engineering major should take in college?
Every engineering major, everyone. It's a good one. Well, physics, a couple of my favorite classes, just the physics, the entire physics string. I had to take 3 physics courses or semesters, physics 1, 2, and 3. Those were definitely the most useful, I thought. You know, it wasn't just directed straight out of electrical engineering, but it just learning how the physical world works and why it does what it does. Um, very, very exciting class. Have a lot of good memories of that class, believe it or not. Our professor, had a habit of, you know, blowing things up and shooting himself across the room on skateboards and rockets and laying on beds of nails and having people smash bricks on top of them, just to prove points. It was pretty interesting. So yeah, that one, I'd say any engineer would need that course. And electromagnetic theory was also one of my favorite courses. I probably didn't understand it at the time as much as I would now. I'd almost want to go back and retake some of those courses, and just see what I would get out of it a second time around. But very practical, even if I didn't know it was at the time. So
For students interested in electrical engineering, what academic and extracurricular activities would you recommend to prepare for the field?
um, well, I would say, first of all, if you're even considering anything in science, even not electrical engineering at this point, seeing that you're calling in from high school, keep up with your math. Love it. And if anybody badmouths math, tell them that, that first thing I said about when things get hard and difficult, that's when it gets interesting and fun. And math is kind of a language that scientists need to use to describe how the world works around you. So I see it as another language. Just like schematics in the electrical engineering, schematics are basically a collection of symbols and lines drawn together to describe a circuit. It's an international language. I can sit down and talk to people from all over the world through a schematic, just like I can through math. So get excited about math, and stay in it. And again, when it gets tough, get going. One of those old sayings. But also, if you have physics in high school already, I would recommend doing those types of classes. CAD work. Most high schools will focus primarily on like AutoCAD or creating models for mechanical engineering. So it gives you an idea of what that's like. But hopefully, maybe in the future, we'll have some electrical CAD work, so high school students can get involved with that. But otherwise, I would look for extracurricular activities that just challenge you. Practice, practice, practice. It applies to everything, right? So if somebody says, I'm deathly afraid of public speaking, well, the best thing you could do is get out there and sign yourself up for debate or theater, and start getting comfortable with it. Every time you practice it, it's going to get better. It's the same with anything else. Just go to the math, everything else. It's just practice, practice, practice. It'll eventually just get easier for you. Solving problems, get involved with science fairs, and that's a good way to get involved. There's lots of ways to get involved, but I would say anything that challenges you to push yourself out of your comfort zone and have fun doing it.
All right, my last question for you here, Jeremie, is what final advice would you have for students?
Final advice. Tough call. I think find your passion. I think Atlas Copco, one of the things I like about that company and why I went there is that, it's got a culture that I can agree with. So one of their sayings is passionate people create exceptional things. So find your passion, because then you'll be passionate about what you do. And I like working with lots of passionate people, because the types of things that a group or team of passionate people can do I've seen firsthand is phenomenal. You know, working by yourself um, is probably fun for some, but what you can do as a team of passionate folks is pretty incredible. So yeah, passionate people create exceptional things. I definitely connect with that line from Atlas Copco. And let's see. Yeah, that's a good one to end it on, I think, as far as enjoy what you do and never work a day in your life.
Well, thank you so much, Jeremy. I just want to say thank you to our International Careers Week sponsors at the Denison Phyllis Washington Foundation, Humanities Montana, the Stockman Bank, and Clearwater Credit Union. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jeremy.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.